lately I've been in my bag, going somewhere popping my shit, ain't clocking no bitch. I'm just here to make up for all the time that I missed. I got them pissed, I know it's a rat bitch that's probably hoping I quit. Listen, my mama gave birth to one girl. Why the fuck is you calling me sis? That shit is so dead. I'm a problem like Cold Red. Told my nigga I need more head, but real I need more bread. So it's back to the block like Jennifer Lopez. I'm popping like Topaz. I'm spending new money with an old head. I'm a street bitch, baby, with street money. Little nigga, I don't do fed. Sorry, baby. I hate to tell you that it ain't the boss for us. I don't play with bitches. No Bobby dolls. Little bitches ain't Toys R Us. Shit, he coming through fully loaded, fully guarded, just like a armored truck. They ain't really want to see me shine, so they try to make it hard for us. But I'm back and I'm better. I'ma take next like a sweater. Ain't no competition with these bars, and even who pussy is wetter. Your favorite rap bitch can never. If she did, cause I let her. Tell Fujiano hit my line so he can drop me that cheddar. Lord, nigga, Shady B ain't shit.
This is the story of Chantel Gardner, a 33-year-old aspiring rapper and mother of two, whose selfish choices led to an unimaginable tragedy. A mother who abandoned her children, not just once but repeatedly, so she could spend nights at her boyfriend's house. Days would pass, and her two little ones, a toddler and a 3-year-old, were left to fend for themselves in conditions so horrific they defy comprehension. Then one day, the inevitable happened. Chantel returned home to find her 2-year-old daughter, Skylar Gardner, unresponsive, her tiny body lifeless, abandoned beneath a dresser. She had died alone. The investigation that followed would uncover the chilling reality of what this innocent child endured, the suffering, the neglect, the abuse. A baby whose cries for help went unheard. What would make a mother forsake her own children for the sake of a man? How could she ignore their needs, their safety, their very lives? Welcome to Crimeberry Stories, where we shed light on some of the most heartbreaking and shocking cases of neglect, abuse, and crime. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our crime story. This story takes us to Indianapolis, Indiana, a city known for its rich history, thriving culture, and strong sense of community. But in January 2025, this city became the backdrop of an unthinkable tragedy, one that sent shockwaves far beyond Indiana's borders. At the center of it all, a mother whose selfish actions would rob her child of her life. Chantel Gardner, a 33-year-old aspiring rapper, seemed more invested in her music and romantic relationships than in her two young children. She projected an image of confidence and success online, portraying herself as a bold and unapologetic artist. But behind the screen, behind the lyrics, behind the performance, was a woman who had failed in the most crucial role of all, being a mother. She wasn't raising her children. She was abandoning them. Authorities would later allege that Chantel routinely left her two young kids alone, for hours at a time overnight, for days on end, also she could spend time with her boyfriend. What started as suspected neglect soon unraveled into a horrific tale of abandonment and suffering, one that ended in the death of an innocent child. On Saturday, January 25, 2025, at 6:35 p.m., a 911 call came in. The voice on the line was Chantel Gardner's. Her tone was frantic, but not for the reasons you'd expect from a grieving mother. She reported finding her 2-year-old daughter, Skylar, unresponsive beneath a dresser. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but by the time they arrived, Skylar was already gone. She had died, alone, in the very home that was supposed to protect her. But when authorities stepped inside the apartment, they weren't just met with the lifeless body of a child. They were met with something far worse. The home was filthy, beyond words. Trash was scattered across the floor. The stench of rotting food filled the air. Human feces smeared the walls and furniture. It was unlivable. The conditions were so awful that detectives considered the apartment a biohazard. As conditions inside the apartment got worse, Chantel Gardner stopped taking the children to the doctor or even out in public for fear that the neglect would be discovered. Although her furnace did not work properly, Chantel Gardner didn't report it to maintenance, due to the cleanliness of the residence and because they would have known the children were alone and unattended. The affidavit claims Gardner said, "She tried cleaning the walls and maintaining things, but it became too overwhelming. She eventually strayed away from the home altogether due to the smell inside the house. But 2 small children had been trapped inside these walls, left to survive on their own, neglected, hungry, abandoned. Skylar never stood a chance. When investigators examined her body, what they found shocked even the most seasoned professionals. Her tiny frame was covered in bruises, her face, arms, legs, back, and genitals, all marked with signs of injury. A puncture wound on her neck raised even more suspicion. And then, a chilling realization. This wasn't just neglect. There was a very real possibility that this child had been abused. A nurse practitioner told investigators some of the bruises found on Skylar were suspicious for non-accidental trauma consistent with inflicted trauma seen in child abuse, according to court documents. Skylar's 3-year-old brother suffered from severe constipation and his medical condition was non-life-threatening, according to court documents. A medical evaluation found he showed signs of food deprivation and has emotional/cognitive issues. He was described as weak and very twitchy/shaky. He's territorial about his food tray and will have a complete meltdown when anyone tries to take his food away. In addition, he tends to eat his food in huge clumps, and someone has to intervene to get him to slow down, according to court documents. The nurse practitioner told investigators it was likely Skylar's brother's condition would have been life-threatening if his sister hadn't been found dead, leading to a response from law enforcement that made them aware of the conditions inside the home. During an autopsy, a pathologist noted external injuries of what appeared to be multiple bite marks on Skylar Gardner, frostbite on her feet and hands, and round pattern bruising. Further testing is being done to determine if some of the girl's injuries happened post-mortem. Skylar was dehydrated and had hair and possibly feces in her stomach. Possible paint chips, hair, and foreign bodies were found in her intestines. A later search of the residence found the lowest temperature inside was 46 degrees Fahrenheit and the highest was 51 degrees. At that point, the temperature outside was 31 degrees, meaning the home would have been even colder during the recent cold snap. When investigators questioned Chantel Gardner, her response was horrifyingly casual. Gardner told detectives that October of 2024 is when she began leaving the children unattended. She said it began by only leaving them when she went outside to her car to meet up with Thomas in the parking lot. She started leaving them alone for other errands, like picking up chicken wings for dinner or sometimes going to the grocery store. She said the children didn't always behave and could be challenging, so leaving them home was easier. She admitted that she would leave her children alone, every single night, while she stayed with her boyfriend. She claimed that she would return once a day to bring them food and something to drink. That was it. 2 helpless toddlers, alone for hours on end, every night, every day. She would go out with Thomas, her boyfriend, and leave the children behind because taking 2 children who weren't always the most behaved could be challenging. She eventually avoided spending much time at the apartment because the smell was so bad. She told police she stopped showering at the home because the smell before showering would cling to her immediately after showering. The odor embarrassed her, especially around Thomas, so she began staying with him at night, leaving Skylar and her brother by themselves. She said she left them alone at most for 2 days. At times, when she knew relatives were going to call, she was intentional about being with the kids because she knew family members were only calling to speak to the children. Eventually, she believed the children saw her absence as normal because Skylar's brother stopped crying when she left. She left the children alone for a day or 2, and returned with food for them, which typically consisted of cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets. Sometimes she brought them chips or chicken wings, along with sports drinks like Gatorade or Powerade. The smell at home became so intolerable that she stopped taking her kids out in public at all. She also stopped taking them to the doctor, due to their hygiene and smell. When asked about Skylar's bruises, she denied any physical and genital abuse. She claimed the injuries on Skylar's genitals were from infrequent diaper changes. An excuse that left investigators horrified. This wasn't just neglect. This was a complete disregard for the lives of 2 children who relied on her for survival. The biological father of the children lives in Ohio but arrived at Gardner's apartment the day Skylar was found. He told police they were unaware of the conditions in which the children were living. He told detectives the last time he saw Skylar and her brother was around Thanksgiving. He had tried to speak with the children via phone and video chat, but Gardner was unresponsive to his requests. He last saw Skylar via video chat 2 or 3 weeks ago. While chatting with Skylar, he said she was lying on Gardner's chest before falling asleep. Authorities swiftly arrested Chantel Gardner on a preliminary charge of neglect of a dependent resulting in death, a Level 1 felony in Indiana. If convicted, she faces up to 40 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. And the public? They were outraged. The story spread like wildfire, igniting anger, heartbreak, and disgust across social media. People couldn't believe that a mother could abandon her own children for the sake of a man. One furious user wrote, "She came home once a day to feed them. Babies. Alone. No baths, no care, nothing. This woman doesn't deserve to see daylight again. Rest in peace, sweet Skylar. You deserved so much better." Another posted, "I need to know who this boyfriend is. How did he let this happen? Did he even care? This is beyond sickening." Authorities later charged Chantel's boyfriend, Brian Thomas, with assisting a criminal. Brian Thomas was indicted on 2 counts of assisting a criminal. He was accused of lying to hinder the case against Gardner. But Brian denied everything. Thomas told police he hadn't been to Chantel Gardner's house in months. He said Gardner would sleep at his apartment sometimes 5 days a week and rarely brought the kids. He told detectives he thought the kids were staying with Gardner's family when she was at his residence. The last time he saw the children, he told police, was at his home on his birthday in December 2024. In a lengthy social media post, he attempted to defend himself, claiming he had no idea that the children were being left alone. He insisted that Chantel told him the children were either with a family member or at daycare. But the public wasn't buying it. One furious social media user wrote, "So you never once thought to ask where her kids were? A mother of 2 and you never questioned why she never had them with her? You're just as guilty. What happened to Skylar Gardner should have never happened. She was a bright, innocent, beautiful child, a little girl who deserved love, care, and protection. But instead of warmth, she was met with neglect. Instead of safety, she was left alone in filth and fear. She never had a chance to grow up. She never had a chance to live. And all because her mother chose a man over her own children. May Skylar Gardner rest in peace. She deserved better." Thanks for watching. If you found this story as heartbreaking as we did, consider sharing it to raise awareness about child neglect. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that need to be heard. I'll see you in the next video.